DirtTrax is sponsored by Can-Am, the ride says it all. Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles. Hatfield McCoy Trails, where hundreds of miles of off-road adventure await you today. And by Yamaha, conquer outdoors.
I first started hunting 2 years ago. John Arkwright, who we work with on DirtTrax for a lot of the outdoor stories, talked to me about it and got me interested. I like shooting guns, I like skeet shooting, I like doing all that type of stuff, but I just had never really thought about hunting. I don't come from a family who hunts, so it's a bit of a departure. I enjoy hunting, just finding the time to do it, that's the tough thing. We knew that on DirtTrax we want to start doing more hunting stories. It's just finding the time, finding the place, and the hunter to be able to do it with that's been the problem. Yamaha USA contacted us and talked to us about the new side-by-side product that they have and how it is really geared towards outdoors hunting type experiences. They said they had somebody who they could hook us up with that's an excellent hunter that they use for a lot of their stories, and it just kind of fit together. The hunter that we were set up with was Doug Stultz. He works with Yamaha USA for a lot of the hunting stories that they do, and he's based out of the Midwest, so it really worked together well. Yamaha said he's a great guy. We took their word on it, and yeah, it all came together from there.
I've been hunting most of my life. I started at a very young age with many different BB guns and archery and all that type of thing, so I'd say probably in that 40 years. I enjoy hunting because of several different things. A wild animal is so unpredictable, and the idea of getting extremely close to them and in their environment is very, very exciting. And to crawl up on an animal knowing that they don't even know you're there, there's nothing like that.
Doug, how are you doing?
Hey Jay, nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
How was the trip?
It was good. It's warm like you were telling me. So
Well, you brought the bugs with you, I think.
we did. We brought the Canadian mosquitoes.
Cool.
So
We've had a ton of moisture up here, so things look good. Seen a great buck yesterday and some
Cool.
others the other day, so I'm
perfect.
excited.
Yeah, we saw some tracks coming in, so that'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got some tree stands set up and a bunch of ground blinds, and so we just need to get set up and go.
Yeah, let's gear up all of our stuff and get some broadheads on and head
Sounds
out.
good. This week we'll be doing a little bit of different type of hunting. Terrain is rolling hills, little flat areas with lots of trees, so we're gonna have to set up a couple different blinds, and then we'll set up some tree stands because some trees aren't in the right areas and different things like that, so we need to adapt to where those deer are to make sure we're in where we need to be.
When it came to my expectations for this trip, I really didn't have any. I've only hunted whitetail with a rifle. I've never even hunted with my bow before. My wife and my mother and father-in-law bought the bow for me quite a few years ago, and I really enjoy shooting it, but I've never been out hunting with it. We kind of just meandered along these trails that the farmers use to get out to their fields with their machinery. And then we got to this one point where Doug was going to get out and go to a separate area than I was. he thought for us to separate probably give us our best opportunity to get a deer, because we could both essentially be hunting two different spots.
So this is my spot. You can kind of see that old barn up there.
Yep.
You're going to go about 80 yards straight south of that along the river. Okay. Go ahead and hop in that blind. It's a ground blind. One of the keys in a ground blind is open the front windows only. You know, go ahead and draw before when you first get in there, and make sure that your level of that arrow doesn't hit that top of that blind, because you'd be sick if you shot that top of that blind. So, all right.
Fair enough.
Good luck.
You too. Walking out to where the ground blinds and tree stands was pretty cool. There was these old farmhouses that, I don't know, they hadn't been used for at least 30 years. And you can tell that they were probably built 100 or more years ago. It was pretty neat to walk out past these old buildings that nobody'd been to forever and just see this old stuff, this old machinery just left out in fields. We moved out really quietly. We were all really excited, you know, really hoping that we were gonna see some deer and get some action. We were out there nice and early that evening, quite a while before sunset, so we had really had a lot of hope that there would be a lot of deer passing by, or that we'd just see a couple at least. You know, after the first hour, we kind of thought, okay, well, it's early on, you know, they're maybe not gonna move. Then after the second hour, we thought, well, you know, it'd be nice if we saw something. After the third hour, we were sort of going, man, what's up?
Got about 15 minutes left of legal light, and yeah, it was a bit of a slow day, but hey, you can't plan hunting, you just go out and do it. So all in all, it's been good, but we'll see if we can't get a deer tomorrow.
My expectations on day two were definitely heightened and accelerated due to the fact that we didn't see anything on day one. I thought, okay, nothing happened day one. We must have been in the wrong spot, the wrong time. So day two, it's on. We had to travel through some farm fields and out through some hay fields. We had to travel a little bit further, but it was actually pretty cool to be able to take the Viking out and just, you know, get to all these spots that we needed to go to. Some of the things about the Viking that really made it stand out on this trip was just the fact that it has such a huge cargo capacity. It's completely purpose-built for work and for outdoor hunting type activities. I mean, the 3 seats that are all side by side, and yet the middle seat is set back that extra distance to give you extra room, as well as having you know, segregated footwell areas so the middle passenger's feet don't come in contact with the driver's. I mean, it's perfect for this type of event.
I could set my bow beside me and hold it, or put a pack there on the seat also if the back was full. So it worked great having that much room in there. If you needed a third person, a third hunter this week, it would have been awesome.
One thing that I've learned about Yamaha is that they really understand outdoor sports and the passion and enthusiasm surrounding them. And one thing that I'm starting to figure out is that hunters know exactly what they want in a side-by-side, and how they're going to use it. And because Yamaha is so involved in the outdoors, they've been able to make really a fully capable work vehicle without sacrificing any of the off-road abilities of the Viking. And, you know, in my opinion, that's really not an easy thing to do. For the second night of hunting, I had great expectations. We got there, got the blind set up, which was way easier than I expected it to be. And, you know, kind of brushed it in, cut some trees and laid it up against so that it really looked camouflaged. We grabbed the game camera, brought it in and read the, you know, kind of the number of shots that it had taken and seen what happened.
So there's been 43 10-second shots in the past couple of days, so unless they're all moving after dark, this should be a pretty good spot.
The camera had only been out for, you know, 2 days, so that means that there was a very, very good possibility of us getting an animal from this area.
Second afternoon here on the Milk River in Montana. We got up in a tree stand today. Saw a really, really nice buck over here when I was scouting earlier. So this should be a real good hunt here.
You know, after the first hour, there wasn't anything. The second hour, there wasn't anything. Then after about the third hour, we could hear something in behind us. And I mean, I was sure that it was a deer.
That's definitely a deer in the river. They're jumping in. There could be 3 of them. They're all making noise down there, real loud noise.
At that point, I thought, okay, game on. You know, there's something coming up this side. This is where the game camera's been seeing it. We knew where the tracks were, so I got my bow out, you know, put the arrow in, got everything ready, you know, was pretty much ready to draw at any point. And yeah, nothing happened.
I think now it's a beaver. And it's slapping its tail. It's done it a couple of times now. Actually 4. And I think we can hear it chewing on wood behind us, so. Unless it's a really, really, really hungry deer.
After reviewing the game cameras, seeing just how many mosquitoes there were, and the really hot weather, we knew that the deer had gone nocturnal, and there's just nothing you can do about that.
We found out and we learned that a lot of things factor into the hunt. It's great to be out there and it's great to enjoy the friends that you make and the experience that you have. It's not just about killing, it is about the whole experience.
One of the key things I learned from this trip is that no matter how hard we try as humans to predict what nature is going to do, we can never 100% be right all the time. Things happen, environmental things happen that we just can't control. And the truth is, when you're out hunting and you set up and you take the time to do this, you got to remember to enjoy the experience no matter what happens, because that's what it's truly about. It's about getting out there, being disconnected from everything else in life, and just enjoying where you are and what you're doing.
Before we begin this week's test ride, we're going to ask you to forget everything you know or think you know about Yamaha's Rhino side-by-side. We're about to pull the sheets off the side-by-side industry's newest sport utility model, Yamaha's Viking 700. Why should you forget everything you know about the Rhino? It's real simple. The all-new Yamaha Viking is so diametrically different, there's no way you can compare it to the long-in-the-tooth Rhino. The world is a different place since Yamaha landed the Rhino 660 back in the middle 00s. The Rhino was a cutting-edge side-by-side at that time, and side-by-side juggernaut Polaris had not emerged as the dominant player. Today, Polaris makes the rules and meets the expectations consumers have for new side-by-sides. Simply put, you have to play to the Ranger's dominance if you want to sell sport utility side-by-sides. That's a strong statement, but it's a reality in almost every industry, including the side-by-side business. Today, there are certain features you just have to bring to the table to meet buyers' expectations. Interestingly, the Viking 700 appears to meet those expectations head on. Some key features the Viking did not miss include a much wider cab with accommodation for 3 across. The new Viking is way bigger overall than the Rhino, and that translates into a bigger dumping cargo box as well. Finally, standard EPS is almost expected by buyers, and the Viking does not disappoint. Interestingly, the Viking uses a spiced-up version of the Rhino's 700 single overhead cam fuel-injected single. This engine's power output can best be described in one word: torquey, mega torquey. Okay, that's 2 words. However, the thunderous low-end power of this 700 plays well to the new Viking's personality. The 700 fuel-injected mill is mounted backwards at the very rear of the new chassis. The unusual engine orientation produces great fore-aft chassis balance that's confidence-inspiring and extremely stable. There's another issue with this engine positioning. One look at the space Yamaha has carved out for the 700 single is a clear indication a V-twin engine must be in the works. The question is this: does the Viking need more power? If it weren't for the fact that there are 800, 900, and 1000cc V-twin competitors in this segment, the Viking 700 would be adequate. However, everyone around here feels that the Viking could not only handle more power, it would be welcome. Viking cab amenities and ergos are exceptionally good. The staggered middle seat is a great idea, as is the new passenger handlebar. We love the molded-in dam next to the gas pedal for keeping passengers' feet out of the way. New switchgear is well positioned and intuitive to operate. The cab floor drains are something every side-by-side should have. What's missing? A tilt wheel to aid in driver entry and exit. We think the Viking should have a turf mode or one-wheel drive rear differential feature. And finally, buyers will expect a single-hand tailgate release rather than recycled clamps from the Rhino. In just one ride, we recognize the Viking's ginormous improvement in ride quality and stability. The Viking can be pounded through deep woods trails while sawed through turns at speed. The Viking's cornering posture is rock-solid steady and flat. Clearly, there's been a ton of effort put into the Viking's independent front and rear suspension. Calibration is impressive and nets great mobility from sumptuous ground clearance while preserving an exceptional measure of side hill stability under extreme conditions. The Viking's electronic power steering may be the best calibrated EPS in the biz, with exceptionally nice weight, solid on-center feel, and enough assist to make you forget it's there. So what's it like driving the new Viking 700 from Yamaha? The package feels extremely well integrated, and it functions like a Yamaha. Ride quality is excellent, and handling is predictable and stable. The torquey power output of the 700 fuel-injected engine is perfect for all-day trail rides and utility chores. We think Yamaha is back in the game with the Viking. This side-by-side was long overdue from a company which owned, then lost, huge market share in the 00s. Helmets off to Yamaha for carefully positioning this vehicle to meet vastly different buyers' expectations in model year 2014. The Viking marks the dawn of a new day for Yamaha in the side-by-side business. We believe this chassis will be the platform Yamaha builds a credible side-by-side sport utility product line on over the next 3 years. For sure, a bigger twin-cylinder engine has to arrive, and some dressed-up sporty equipment upgrades are, no doubt, being readied. The question we have is this: could Yamaha launch a pure sport side-by-side model tweaking this platform?
DirtTrax Television has been sponsored by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles. Can-Am, the ride says it all. MBRP Performance Exhaust, making power with MBRP. And by Arctic Cat, share our passion.